the first of our guests. They're both named Louise. The first of them is Louise Cant, who has children of military age, and she's very concerned about the prospects of them being drafted into a proxy war with Russia. Now, Louise has unearthed some shocking stuff about the tactics and the policies of the British Army with regards to recruitment and possibly the road to conscription. She joins us now. Louise, thank you for joining us. Please tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, firstly, not really about the British Army. You know, I'm quite part of the British Army, but the public-private partnerships is where the problem lies for me. I'm just an ordinary person, a mum. I have two 20-something young men, and I'm sure, like everybody else in Britain and Europe and across the world, I've just watched this whole debacle of propaganda, insanity, all the crazy amounts of money that's been sent to Ukraine with no oversight. There just seems to be no rhyme or reason or no end in sight. And now we have our government talking about sending young British men and women probably to war. So I just find that absolutely horrific. So that's really where I got interested in what was going on.
Sorry, I was just about to. Sorry, I was going to say that does seem to be the case. I mean, the unusual has become the usual now, and we're seeing things that were unheard of and unthinkable even going back 5 years. But the fact of the matter is that the powers that be seem to be driving the narrative towards conscription.
It does. It seems to be that now the narrative's out. Well, it's not narrative anymore. It's out in the open now, isn't it? They're openly discussing it. Whereas behind closed doors, they've been discussing it since at least 2016 about how the British youth would respond to mandatory conscription. And they've been setting up army recruitment centres. They've been forming private corporations that are actually running alongside with public commissions, if you like. So all of this seems to be, they've been preparing for this for probably since 2014, obviously. So I just think that, you know, we don't know what's going on. We don't know where the money's going. We don't know. We have no say. We've got no political representation. And I think that it affects us. We're the ordinary people. We're the working people. We're the mothers, the sons, daughters, whatever. And we all need to get engaged, really. Actually find out exactly what's happening, where the money's going, and hold the government to account.
Well, Louise, we understand that the European Court of Human Rights plays a key part in citizens objecting to going to war.
Well, I think so. I think that at the moment, obviously, you know, the Tories wanted us out of the ECHR, Reform wants us out of the ECHR. Labour have always said they don't. You know, they've maintained that we should stay with the ECHR. But the same laws that apply when we can't send refugees to Rwanda or transport them to Rwanda apply to our human rights, if you like, and they have enshrined within the ECHR conscientious objection. There's two different things, isn't there? You probably know this more than I do, that, you know, the government may be able to mandatory conscript people into the military, but they can't actually force them to go to war and kill people. They can't do that. That's against their human rights. So where they may have whatever they want to call this, conscription, national service, excuse me, the human rights aspect, they cannot force people to go to war or to kill people. That cannot be mandatory, can't be forced.
Well, one would, I can see one would reel in the rules of combat as they are enshrined in our, well, I say constitution, but we do have an unwritten constitution, which is another thing altogether. That in the fact that it evolves as we go along, and of course the highest court in the land is the Parliament. And the worrying thing is that the authors of legislation, their integrity has become pretty much questionable. And
yeah, I understand that, but at the moment they are restricted by being a member of the ECHR.
So, Louise, I understand you've unearthed some incredible stuff about the role of the private sector, which we briefly mentioned earlier, with reference to recruitment.
I think yeah, I was looking at recruitment actually, and just one. I mean, I'll check the dates because my memory's not that great. So, back on the 19th of January 2022, the National Preparedness Commission was incorporated. Okay. At the same time, we have the National Preparedness Commission as part of government. So the two run in parallel. So one's a private company, corporation, and the other is supposedly, part of our government, if you like. Yeah. So included in this, I mean, one of the officers or the actual chair of the commission, which is Lord Harris. Yeah. So he's part of the private and the public, if you like. He's a chair of the public commission, and he's also a director of the private. And this, obviously, they're managing now resilience, war, military spending, and they're also associated with pool reinsurance. Have you heard of them? No? No, I hadn't either. I mean, we've all heard of Serco or Palantir or BAE, obviously the big guys, but pool reinsurance actually affiliated with this National Preparedness Commission. They actually state on their website, and I'll read it for you, it's a quote, say that they have a unique public-private partnership with the benefit of an unlimited Her Majesty's Treasury loan facility. Unlimited. I mean, I don't even understand what that means. What is that?
Writings on the wall. So if it's it kind of extends my grievances on a personal note that we've got infinite funds for in fueling the in ridiculous conflicts out there. We extend a blank check to the likes of the Zelensky regime, but yet we're getting public sector cuts. People, our elderly, are getting the freeze. It's either about eating or eating. So the whole thing comes back to us. But you mentioned about funding. We understand from your research that you've established that the British Treasury is actually in de facto.
This is, to me, it looks like a de facto funding. I don't know. It would have to be investigated, obviously, by somebody with far more financial tools than I have. But I mean, what is an unlimited HM Treasury loan facility? Is it ever paid back? I mean, the loan is being guaranteed by the Treasury, so effectively the people. And at the moment, I think they're managing over 2 trillion in assets, this particular company, for war, for crisis, for... You'll have to excuse me. I just don't know. Yeah, I think that things like this, we need to know. We need to have our MPs, if you like, question the Treasury, the Chancellor. What is this? How much is it? this is going on to the national debts, which is paid back by us. When is this? When is their commitment?
So we're there are obviously question marks on the on a moral standing point, and of course with reference to accountability. But this would be one of many questions that the general public, I'm sure, would love to ask and would want to ask the people that are actually controlling these decisions. But oh, it certainly is. It is certainly an important question to ask. But of course, there's more blatant, blatant questions that we're up against with reference to how our monies is being spent. And this is just another supplement, another addition to the actual general question as to what is the need and why do we prioritize sending billions of pounds on wars that in no way whatsoever are defending our territories and borders? Because if that's the case, one can justify. But Louise, it was again a pleasure speaking to you. I hope we speak again. I hope you do come back. But it's so we have our second guest, another Louise, Louise Scrivens. Louise, thank you for coming on board. How are you?
I'm good, thank you for inviting me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Louise, we understand you've been involved in campaigning. Please inform the audiences, what kind of causes have you been campaigning about?
Well, I'm a Quaker and I've been campaigning against peace, and I started actually going out to peace rallies in 2017. I went to London to the Edexcel Centre, which is owned by one of the Emirates, and there every other year they have a massive arms fair. They take trucks, tanks, armoured personnel carriers, all sorts of heavy equipment through into this exhibition centre, and basically they sell all this equipment around the world. I did that. I went back in 2019, and I also got involved in the local peace campaigning, because in the West Midlands, where I'm from, we have an arms fair that used to be at Malvern Three Counties show, and what they did was the people in that area managed to get so much. There was so much disapproval of it. They actually had to stop going there. It was too costly for them to actually hold the arms fair there, because it was costing them a lot of money. So then they moved it, and the first year they moved it to Telford, to the exhibition centre, the International Exhibition Centre in Telford. And so that's what I've been campaigning against, and also climate issues. A lot of what the defence budget doesn't get accounted for in its carbon credits. So we have this big black accounting hole for our carbon deficits and we don't actually know how much carbon we're spending on all the missiles and the exercises that we run. So
I'm sorry to bring in the Green Party. Never understood how the Green Party actually throws its support behind NATO, considering there's huge levels of, well, we talk about carbon footprint and what they've left behind, but we could talk about that hopefully on another day. I hope you do come back again, by the way. But just going back to the arrest. Now, we all know, and this did pretty much hit the news. Believe it or not, the legacy media did cover it.
Right.
The social media certainly did, and that's how I'm aware of it. That you were arrested at that time. Could you run us through the details of what happened?
Yeah. So basically we wanted to create some sort of publicity around the fact that this arms fair had moved to Telford, because they like to keep it very quiet what they're doing. So we looked on their public list of what was going on at Telford International Centre, and it wasn't on the listing. So to all intents and purposes, it wasn't advertised. It is advertised online to all of the companies that actually want to exhibit there, but it's not advertised locally. So what we wanted to do was to make some noise locally and say to people in the area, hey, do you know this is going on your back door? Do you know that the companies that are going there are companies that deal in things like drones and security and facial recognition, all the stuff that is being used right now in Gaza? A lot of that is developed in this country. There's Elbit Systems is one of the biggest Israeli defense companies, and they have a lot of factories in England, and they were there. I think. Anyway, basically, me and 3 other people chained ourselves to one of the gates of the entrances. We intended to do a live stream on Facebook, which went ahead, and we were intending just to raise the profile and tell everybody what was going on. Now, when we were in court, it was said that if we could have protested there, but we didn't have to chain ourselves to the gate. But the whole point of chaining ourselves to the gate is to make it more visually attractive and more dramatic, so that we get more publicity, because the whole idea of that, what we were doing, was to raise
civil disobedience without actually harming anybody. I'm
yeah,
sure did you happen to harm the gates by chaining yourself to those gates?
No, we just wrapped the chain round and just secured it with padlocks.
You know, I must say, if I could give my slightly personal opinion, and I hope I don't get in trouble with the producers for this, but, you know, I have my own reservations in, you know, when you got the likes of somebody who was actually climbing on to the snooker table in the World Snooker Championship, I think it was a couple of years ago, throwing off turmeric-like orange powder. That really got me, because I wanted to watch the rest of the match. But if you and your colleagues had chained yourselves to the gate for matters of, in order to display to the general public, and it certainly caught their attention, how would this amount to a criminal offence?
Because under the new policing bill that came in under the government, the previous government, anything that causes serious disruption, which was what we were charged with, carries with it a criminal record if you get found guilty of it. So that was what they charged us with, and they also charged us with what's it called, trespass. But what happened with the trespass was that they couldn't prove that we had knowingly trespassed, so they had to drop that charge. Anyway,
well, we're glad that it's all behind you now, but just generally, Louise, can we just establish how you felt during this whole episode on a personal note? I mean, was it something that you felt was a victory in a way, or did you feel
actually this isn't something that I like to do? This is out of my comfort zone. But we did an awful lot of research before we undertook that protest. So when I was standing there chained to the gate, I actually felt slightly embarrassed and very definitely out of my comfort zone. But as my late father used to say, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So it's on us as citizens to make our views known and try and get things changed. It's being made more and more difficult to do that. But we did our research before we even locked ourselves to the gate. I mean, Louise previously was talking about all of the things that go on in government. Well, did you know that something like 86% of the people who work in government in Whitehall or in the defence area for the government end up working for the private contractors as well. It's like a revolving door. They finish one contract with a private firm and then they go on to work in the public sphere, or vice versa, and they're swapping around. And the person who currently, I'm going to have to look at my notes because I can't keep everything in my head, but the person who, Andy Start, the current Chief Executive Office of the House of, what's it? Yeah, he current CEO of DE&S, previously held roles in 6 defence companies. So the CEO of the DE&S, which is like for the government, he used to work for BAE Systems, Capita, LJ Harris, all these private companies that supply arms and armaments to the government. So basically, it's a closed shop.
Well, you've got to pay the bills some way. The huge bills. Could we mention a little bit about the 2-tier policing?
Yes.
Do you feel that you were a victim of that in this case when it came to the arrest, etc.?
I feel that the police now feel like they have a license to go after anybody who is protesting in an activist sphere. So if you're doing something that is protesting against climate, or for peace, or against war, or anything like that that's slightly disapproved of, or even grossly disapproved of, that police feel like that they've got an open book and they can just arrest you willy-nilly and take you off. Because serious disruption was caused about a month ago when the farmers took their tractors to Whitehall, but nobody actually got prosecuted for that serious disruption, whereas we were prosecuted for serious disruption for closing one of 2 gates to the International Centre in Telford. And yet, and they took us all the way to court, and they took us through the whole process, and we were found not guilty by the judge. The judge said that it failed the test of serious disruption. But I would say that the farmers did not fail the test of serious disruption, and yet they got away with it.
Well, I if I could add my personal opinion on this, civil disobedience. It's something that generally has been one of the acceptable proponents when it came to in the past when it came to actually protests, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and in my opinion, even if the farmers, the tractors, even though one may be justified to call it serious disruption, I think the line to be drawn is as and when somebody actually inflicts damage to the party or the public. I'm glad that the judge was, I would say, impartial, and I'm happy for you, and we do wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and I hope that the people that are watching can take some solace in the fact that there are people like yourselves that will go outside of their comfort zones to actually try and do their own thing in their own capacity to make the world a better place. Didn't mean to sound poetic, but that's genuinely what I meant. And we are all proud of you, Louise, and good luck in your future endeavors. Thank you for taking your valuable time, and we hope that you do come back.
Thanks.
So, guys, brothers and sisters, to sum up what the whole discussion's been, and we will talk about the general position of people, what their position is on conscription, the whole arrangement where, it's anybody of 18 plus or 16 plus or what have you, it's mandatory for that person to enroll in the military and to go out and fight in battle. Something that is pretty much unheard of in recent times. We did cover this in our previous installment where we discussed where it actually came into place in the First World War and Second. But the troubling question, and I hope I don't need to underline it, is the very nature of the conflicts that our people shall be sent to. One might suggest that there are many opinions on the Falklands War, that we went out there on the other side of the planet, etc. But at the end of the day, those were British territories, and I personally feel that we were right to defend those territories, no matter how distant they were and no matter how irrelevant they may appear. But it does a huge question mark looms over the policy making of our current elected government. 9 million people voted for this current government. I'm sure a lot of them are regretting that decision. But should we be forced to go and fight another person's battle that's got nothing to do with defending our own fences, our own boundaries, our own territories? I certainly don't think so. And the very direction of this program, and indeed the Workers' Party of Britain's main stance, is that no, we say no to conscription. This simply because we are all fully aware that these battles have got no business of ours, and hence our drive. I've always tried my level best to actually look out for the general opinion of the other parties, the so-called reformists, that go totally hush-hush when it comes to the difficult questions. I think if anything that goes wrong in Nigel Farage's life, he'll blame it on the boats. If it rains, he'll blame it on the boats. If lightning strikes, he'll blame it on the boats. If he didn't enjoy his fish and chips, he'll blame it on the boats. I do believe that the Reform Party, the manifesto book, probably looks like the Jack Nicholson's Shining sort of thing. When he's typing away and you're thinking he's writing a novel, and when you see it in the end, it's just one line. He repeats. And if you look at the manifesto for reform, I bet it's all about a repetitive display of stop the boats. He's got nothing else to say. And the people that are reform loyalists and whoever are left of that group, I must put it out to you that Nigel Farage and the reforms, they're planting candidates pretty much everywhere across the country for the council elections. When these candidates in their light blue rosettes come to your houses, knocks on the doors and give them the smiles and da-di-da-di-da, ask them the question: do you support conscription? Will you back conscription if it's forced onto us? And if they say yes, or kind of, or roundabout, then you know what to do. When you slam the door on them, just make sure you don't hurt their noses. Now, my fellow deputy leader, Mr. Peter Ford, the former ambassador, UK ambassador to Bahrain, is running for the member of parliament seat at Runcorn. He's doing amazingly well, despite the fact that the Workers' Party doesn't benefit from the millions, from the millionaire donors like the reforms do, and all these fancy halls and lightings and the fireworks and all the rest of it. I think the people can see through that, and I think the people know what they're up against. But in our case, in the case of Mr. Peter Ford, I'm delighted to learn that he's doing a fantastic job. Our colleagues at Runcorn that are involved in the campaign, they're doing an absolute valiant job. And I would like to reach out to our brothers and sisters that live within and inside the constituency of Runcorn to reach out to us with the view to support Mr. Peter Ford, and if possible, support his campaign on the crowd-funded page. A couple of pounds, £2, £3 is all we ask for. It's the price of a cup of coffee. But when in masses, we are given a chance to fight against the establishment, the old establishment and the reinvented establishment. We can do that, and we'll have a better chance of getting our colleague, Mr. Peter Ford, a seat in the Gothic Palace of Westminster. I would love to see the look on Sir Keir Starmer's face. I was up in arms when I saw Rishi Sunak cry after the Rochdale victory. And I promise you, there will be plenty more of these victories, because people are waking up and they are smelling the coffee. So on Peter Ford, please look him up on Facebook accounts and Twitter, X accounts. There will be links on there that will direct you to ways in which you can support Mr. Peter Ford, and possibly, if so, to fund, give some monetary support to him. Yes, if you are a resident of Britain, if you are from Northern Ireland, you can help his campaign financially. Also, if I could mention that the Workers' Party of Britain are also contesting local elections in Balderstone and Kirkholt in Greater Manchester. We have Laura Pugh, who is the candidate there. She has been extremely busy and extremely active with the people of her ward over the months and years. And this was the time when she had no idea that she'll be running for a political office. So it goes to show you nature and her general position when it comes to working and helping others. I don't think that she needs any introduction to her locals, but in order to observe the general practice of campaigning, it is extremely important that we all look out for her and help her in winning this councillor seat. Again, she does have a crowdfunder page, I believe, and we will thank you to do your bit to help her out. If it's not monetary, if you can bring in a couple of pounds, £2, £3, even £1, every little help, every pound helps. If 1,500, 2,000, 5,000 people collectively contribute minuscule sums, it all does add up. Please email us. Email the Workers' Party at info@workerspartybritain.org. So that's info@workerspartybritain.org. And you may also send us a message on our Workers' Party Facebook page. We will be giving out details towards the end of this podcast. That's about it. We have actually taken more of the allocated time this evening, but they are interesting times ahead, exciting times ahead for not just the Workers' Party of Britain, but the democracy in general. The one thing that has been the issue with our democracy is that the parties that are actually there to represent, and their core belief to actually voice the people, provide a voice for the people of their constituencies and wards, they no longer do that. They'll promise you the world and the universe when it comes to campaigning, but they don't follow up because they are all lined up by the whip, in this case of the Labour Party, and they do as that whip says. One small thing I'd like to say, in the short term that our leader, Mr. Galloway, had retained he won the seat for Rochdale. He did wonders for the people of Rochdale, and he was extremely active in his surgery in Rochdale, and he got the ward together as promised. But sadly, we were subjected to several attacks by the legacy media, by the newspapers, and by the general rhetoric. And I'm happy to tell you that we have now begun to gather momentum, and none of this is going to slow us down. None of this is going to stop us now. We support and stand for the Workers' Party of Britain. We support the workers of Britain. We do what it says on the tin. Have a lovely rest of your evening, and until 9 p.m. next Thursday, I bid you well, and may your God be with you.